Hello and welcome back to my channel. This is going to be a little bit of a different video. I don't know. This is going to be a little bit different today. We are going to be reading Reddit stories. These Reddit stories are going to be based off of like sanitation and salon safety, and they're real gross. So trigger warning, if you don't like gross things, don't watch this. But also, I kind of want to traumatize you a little bit. If you have been one of my students before, you know that I want to scare you just a little bit so that you take this seriously. Salon sanitation and safety protocols are so important, not only to protect yourself, but to protect your clients and everyone around you. So let's get into these Reddit stories. This first one comes from subreddit r/askwomen. The user's name is Gwenji. And it says, I had a gal pal in school to be an esthetician. Spelling is way off. I can barely even say it right. She learned to do waxing, facials, spa stuff like that. Well, she needed to practice waxing, so we grabbed a bottle of tequila, for me, not her, and rolled a joint. And we got to ripping. I don't know if the ripping was the joint or the waxing. Okay. I don't know if it was my sensitive skin or what, but almost 15 minutes after doing the first leg, my whole calf looked like a roll of ground beef. Okay. We needed to go to the grocery store to get some cream. I read that as sour cream. Maybe because the ground beef. Okay. We needed to go to the grocery store to get some cream or something to put on it. And I couldn't wear pants because it hurt so bad. So there I am in the store and stinking of tequila in shorts with one leg I hadn't shaved in weeks and the other leg looking like I was in a war. Never again. Some of the comments are, story is great. It's like a war story in the pursuit of prettiness. So we're starting off this episode with pretty, light and funny story, but also, ow, that sounds so painful. Gwenji did give an update and she said, in case anyone was wondering, my leg got so messed up because of my hormones from switching birth control, or so I'm told. And that is something that is absolutely possible. We always like to tell our students, you need to make sure that you not necessarily have like a comprehensive list of all of the medications that your client is on, because you're not a doctor and that would be weird, and HIPAA and lots of things, but you do need to make sure that they're not on any type of medication that is going to cause problems for the service that you're doing. This would be what is known as a contraindication. This is something that is going to be anything that's going to keep you from performing a service. So in this moment, the switching of that birth control would have probably been a contraindication that I would have been like, maybe let's not. But let's talk about the substances. Everyone likes to party. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. People like to do their things. But while you're performing professional services, and especially something as aggressive as waxing, and also just like most things that you need to use like critical thinking and your judgment, if your judgment's impaired, you're probably not going to have a successful service. While also not a great idea, probably illegal. Just depending on, what state you're in, what your regulating agencies are. But I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say 99% of those agencies do not want you to be under the influence while you're performing a service. This would be a salon safety issue. The next story I'm going to read is from the same subreddit, r/askwomen. This is from a user that has since been deleted. This was posted 11 years ago. I went through cosmetology school in 2010, and my teacher told us a story to remind us to never use the same stick twice while waxing a client. Someone she knew got herpes on her face because the cosmetologist who did her wax used the same stick for Brazilian wax on someone else before her. Huh? What? Why? Why are you... I don't understand the logic in that. I don't understand. Ew, like, do you have a special container that you're like, oh, these are used but reusable sticks, and these are clean sticks? Like, do you just not have clean sticks? I think I have so many more questions than I probably should, and will never be answered. I don't have to tell you, herpes is bad, okay? And herpes can, get in multiple places. I'm not a doctor. You have to take this so seriously. Like, you absolutely cannot cross-contaminate. You cannot use the same stick, the same strip, the same disposables on one client versus another. Even if this is like just, waxing, or if we're talking about nails, or if we're even talking about haircuts, if you're using the same neck strip on somebody, all of these disposables are porous. That's what makes them disposable. That's what makes them unable to sterilize or sanitize. So this is why we throw them away. Ew. The deleted user did update. She said, yeah, most professional cosmetologists will not do that. Yeah. That usually only happens in nail salons where there are no licensed cosmetologists or estheticians. Nail techs are not certified for waxing, they are only certified to do nails. And that's true. So, yeah, depending on, the state and licensing regulation and all of that, it's all going to depend what rules and regulations are set in the location that you're in. But 99% of the time, yeah, if you are only certified to be a nail technician, you're only doing nails. You're not doing waxing. Waxing does not fall under the umbrella of nails. It follows under the umbrella of esthetician or cosmetologist. The next story is again from our Ask Women. The user Lavender Floyd said, once my mom got her eyebrows burned off with some chemicals at our local place. She had literally no eyebrows for a few weeks. I don't know what chemicals those could have been. Was it Nair? Are you nairing your eyebrows off? Was it intentional? It doesn't sound like it was intentional. That can totally happen, especially if you are using like a high volume bleach, but mama, that would have to be on there for a long time for it to completely melt your eyebrows off. And I feel like you would definitely have like a chemical burn on your skin. And I would be suing. Truthfully, you couldn't convince me otherwise. I would absolutely be reporting to the regulating agency. I would be asking more questions like, what did you put on my face? That's wild. Yeah. This is from the subreddit R2X chromosomes. My older sister used to take me all the time to a salon starting when I was 10 to get my eyebrows waxed and my nails done. When I was in my later teens, sometime after she got married, one of her big toes, she claims, was cut wrong. I remember her talking about the pain after they cut a hangnail out or something. Afterward, my sister's big toenail began to become crusty and turned yellow, just the nail. Now, several years later, it is just a big mound of crust and yellow nail that is thick and grows straight up. She is totally embarrassed of the nail and constantly paints over the nail with polish, but it looks totally different from the other nails since it is this mound. Apparently, she says she went to a doctor, but they told her that they will need blood samples and she is afraid that they will just tell her to lose weight. She is obese now, but she was not at the time she contracted this strange fungus. We believe it was from using dirty utensils at the salon and it affected her one toe and or toenail. I rarely get my nails done or toes done since I can just do just about as good as a job, but I have been burned quite a few times while getting my eyebrows waxed. Nothing crazy, but I have had a few scabs and such. So let's talk about why this person's sister's nail may have gotten this fungus. Initially, she said that it was cut wrong, and that totally could have been the case. If she had a hangnail, which is really the side of your nail plate, kind of comes off in a strip. It can be very painful. It can get infected, especially if it is deeper into the side walls of the nail groove. But If they cut into those perinechiums on the side, absolutely could that created a like entrance point for any kind of bacteria or fungus or anything that can penetrate the barrier of the skin and get into the blood, can get into that nail matrix, whereas the other toes maybe did not have those cuts, so they were not affected like that big toe was. So it really twofold. It's two things. When you are trimming the cuticle and you are, trying to cut out a hangnail or fix a, ingrown toenail, it's so incredibly important that if it is infected, to leave it alone. Refer your client to a doctor, which is not you. There's so many things that they need. They need an antibiotic. They need like a topical. They need things that you cannot give them, and you may make the situation worse and escalate that infection if you try to, do nail salon surgery. When you have a client and they maybe want like a Russian manicure or pedicure or something like that, that is where they are going in and they're removing that epinecium, they're removing that perinechium, that barrier that keeps bacteria from getting inside of your nail. You can do that on purpose or on accident, right? So that person, that nail tech, probably didn't intend to cut her, but she was also using dirty materials. Nail salons have to have an autoclave or some type of actual like sterilization process. This is beyond all the other tiers of sanitation and disinfection. You really want to make sure that tools are completely sterile, that they are good enough to do surgery with, even though you're not doing surgery because you are not a doctor. We've already discussed this. But you want to make sure that your tools are completely sanitized, disinfected, and sterilized. Oftentimes, you will have an autoclave. That is a device that you put all of your metal tools and implements into. You close up the door, and it's like, honestly, like a bank vault. It has like a little wheel that you turn, and it creates this pressure and high heat and steam that actually goes in and completely strips all of your tools from any kind of debris, microbes. It is, like I said, the highest level of sterilization. So it is going to kill everything, mold, spores, all of that. There are these little packages that you put your reusable implements into, that you then put all of that into the autoclave. Before you put your tools into that package, you need to make sure that you're washing them with soap and water. That is the first level of sanitation. It is getting off all the dirt and debris and dead skin and just like the big chunky things. Ew. But the big things that are on your tools, that's getting that off. Then you are going to soak your tools in barbicide. This is going to be the next level of sanitation, and that's going to be disinfection. So this is killing almost everything except for those microbes and those spores that is going to be killed in your top tier, which is that sterilization process. This person could have had a much different experience had that nail salon, number one, had an autoclave, had clean tools, and number two, they were more mindful and careful about using the, nippers in the perinechium and in the side wall to remove a hangnail. I do want to talk also about how she said her nail got really thick and crusty and yellow, and it is a completely different texture than the other nails. This is a key sign of a fungal infection. This is something that is pretty common in people. No shade, no tea. It just is, right? And sometimes it can be cured, sometimes it can be treated, but sometimes it can't because it's like so far into the nail matrix. So again, this is where I would refer to a physician that is not yourself. I would not go to Walmart. I would not get an over-the-counter medicine. I would, if you can, I understand that life is hard, times are hard, health insurance is, who is she? Especially if you're in America. But if you can, go see a physician. But if you cannot, do not go back to a nail salon and further cross-contaminate and put other people at risk, because you cannot control that nail salon safety practices and sanitation practices, but you can do your part by painting your own nails. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video today. I do have a lot of content on my Instagram about sanitation and disinfection this week, so be on the lookout for that. There are some shorts also if you want to look at the playlist for sanitation and disinfection. There is so much to this. I do encourage you to really take sanitation and salon safety important. Take it seriously when you're learning about it in class. Really understand the steps of sanitation and what is disposable, what is not disposable, things that you can sterilize, things that you can't. And then once you get out into the real world, really make sure that where you are working is clean, because not only is your own personal brand and business on the line, your own personal health and safety and the health and safety of your client is also on the line. So really take this seriously. I hope I traumatized you a little, but that's that. So I hope you have a great and wonderful day and you make good choices along the way. YouTube is going to suggest a couple of videos for you. Let me know in the comments below if you have any salon or spa horror stories, anything that you want to share just to, trauma bond with the people around us. We'll see you next time. Bye.